Yes. Good afternoon and welcome to the University Career Center's virtual workshop today on career readiness and marketing yourself to employers. And our presentation today, my name is Rosie Shannon. I'm an assistant director and a career coach in the University Career Center. And I will be the moderator of our presentation today. So feel free to post your questions in the Q&A box over to the right of your screen. And I will be checking those throughout the presentation. And we are recording this presentation today, and it will be made available to our website a little bit later today. And as with all of our previous workshops that we have done, they are also on our website to view as well. I would like to welcome everyone, and again, thank you for joining us. And our presenter today is Miss Mallory Newby. She's an assistant and career coach in the University Career Center. And I will turn it over to Mallory and let her start our presentation today.
Thank you, Rosie, and thank you all for choosing to spend your Cinco-de-Mayo/Taco Tuesday with us, learning about career competencies and marketing yourself to employers. And so we do have a lot to cover today, and we'll start by looking at what it means to be career ready. So that definition of career readiness, making the transition from college into your careers, and then career competencies that define career readiness. And then finally, some helpful tips on personal branding and how that works to market yourself to potential employers. And so like Rosie said, she'll be watching the Q&A panel, so let us know if you have specific questions and we'll do our best to answer those as we go along. So, while it's always been important to be able to market yourself to employers, it's even more so important now as the job market has been affected by COVID-19. And so just to put this in perspective, before the pandemic, unemployment percentages were at around 4.5%. And so that was, meaning it was a very candidate-driven market. There were a lot of opportunities, even more opportunities than there were job seekers. And so today, economists are estimating that the unemployment rate may be around 13 to 15%. And so it's changing fast, and we do know that it is going to be a more competitive market in the coming months. And so it's vital, really, to understand the importance of being able to identify, communicate, and articulate career competencies to prospective employers. So in all this bad news, I don't want to be negative. I want to shed some light because the world is still moving, and through technology, we're being creative, and we are still seeing jobs being posted and opportunities are still out there. So I really want you to think about this as your time to shine through these challenges that we are all facing. And it looks like some things have gone out of order here. Let's see here. Apologize, everyone. I'm going to pull up a different presentation. This one has scrambled a bit on us. Let's pause for a minute and rejoin. I'm going to pull up a PowerPoint that I've actually don't have available just yet.
Yeah, and I don't see that we have any questions yet in the Q&A panel, so we will just wait for Mallory to pull up her different screen here, and so we'll just take a moment to let her do that. And again, if you do think of any questions, feel free to go ahead and type those in the Q&A box, as we will be checking that and throughout the presentation, and may not have any just yet since we just got started, but you may have had some questions just prior to coming on to this presentation that led you to join us today. So as I'm sure all of you know, that you probably have experienced a little bit of technical issues throughout these past few weeks. We've all had to learn to do more online and share resources and information, and this is just part of just going with the flow. And
I think we're back on track now.
Okay, all right.
Can everyone see this cardinal career compass?
I'm not seeing it just yet, but
all right, bear with me. And like Rosie said, it is challenging as we've adapted to new ways of sharing our information, and I am.
So I do see, yeah, I do see your PowerPoint back on the screen. I don't know if that's the one you were searching for, but it has our question box question slide up there currently.
All right, let's see. Out now.
I see a screen. Yes, Cardinal Career Compass, your game plan for success.
We are on track. Sorry about that, you all. You know, using the cloud, I think I pulled up a version that was not the final product, but we're back on track now. And thank you for bearing with me through those glitches. So again, yes, the labor market has become more competitive, and so wherever you might be now in your educational journey, the University Career Center has created a very helpful career readiness guide called the Cardinal Career Compass. And these have steps that will point you in the right direction on your journey from college to career. So I just want to encourage everyone to visit our website at louisville.edu/career. And then under the Student Resources tab, you'll be able to download your copy of the Cardinal Career Compass. And these have specific suggestions for you each year. And so no matter where you are, if you're in your first year, your second, you can go through this list and identify the steps that you need to take to point you towards your career readiness. And so for today's workshop, we're really going to be focusing on that fourth step, which is encompassing career readiness and the active transition from college to career. So what is career readiness? And I'll say, you know, many college students and their parents mistakenly think that obtaining a college degree automatically leads to a good job and a successful career. You know, however, graduates who are not career ready, you might find it more difficult to obtain employment and thrive in the workplace without adding that experience and adding to your portfolio with your education. And so the National Association of Colleges and Employers, which is called NACE, had a collaboration session, so with leaders in education and then employers, to come up with this definition of career readiness. And so what that is the attainment and demonstration of requisite competencies that will broadly prepare college graduates for a successful transition into the workplace. And so competency is, I like this definition, it's really the ability to do something successfully or efficiently. And so these are the overall competencies. There are 8 that were identified through those efforts in preparing students from a transition to the workplace. And so we'll go through each competence to define each area, and then some strategies towards developing certain competencies. And you might be familiar with the term transferable skills. And so these are pretty much one and the same. Now, all competencies can be developed over time through a variety of experiences, whether that's community service, internships, coursework, group projects, work experience, or involvement with student organizations. They all apply to many different career fields. That's what makes those transferable skills. So think about competencies that enable you to succeed and how those connect to the jobs that you'll be targeting. And so while you may not have been asked directly in a job interview, what's your career competence? Fundamentally, all interview questions are just trying to help that interviewer to define your areas of strengths. And so it's very important for you to be able to identify personal areas of strengths as well as weaknesses. And so that'll provide you with some goals towards your professional development. So before I go into each competency, I'll check in to see with Rosie to see if we have any questions before we go into each area.
I do have a quick question here, Mallory. This one says that they have recently transferred to U of L in the spring with 60 credit hours, but haven't done any career exploration. Will I need to stay extra time to complete the career readiness phase of the Cardinal Career Compass?
And that's a really good question. You know, if you haven't started, now is a great time to start. And I would really encourage you to download that copy and just look at some of the things. And it is broken down by years. These are just suggested timelines. But again, you can start at any point. And so I would really encourage you to kind of take a look at that. And then if you're really not sure what you want to do, then I hope today's presentation and some of the content we'll get into will help you get started. But we also are happy to help you in your journey.
Okay, excellent. Then I think we are ready to keep moving on.
Okay. Well, we will get started with that first competency, which is professionalism and work ethic. And so this is really just being able to identify, you know, personal accountability and effective work habits. So these are being on time, working well with others, being able to manage your time and your workload effectively in a day, in a week, in a month. And then the second one, understanding the impact of nonverbal communication. So this might be how you respond when your boss tells you to do something, not rolling your eyes, or your presence online and social media. So demonstrating integrity and ethical behavior in all areas of your work and in your professional life. So some strategies to develop and strengthen this competency. If you don't have any experience, you know, start by getting yourself a job, whether that's paid or unpaid, or an internship, volunteer. And then I'm a real big fan of online learning, and especially now, and you're going to hear me talk about this a lot, the LinkedIn learning. If you have a LinkedIn profile, that's an added feature where you can access a variety of different videos and courses to just get some tips. And while this seems like a basic area. It is so very important, and you can really get some good education from some professionals there. And then it's always a good idea to get involved with a student organization, or maybe if you know what you want to do, look for some pre-professional organizations to get yourself involved within your industry. The second one is oral and written communication. So, just being able to articulate your thoughts and your ideas clearly, effectively, both in written and aloud. And so the dreaded public speaking skills. And I think we've all heard potentially that quote that, people fear public speaking almost more than they do their own death. And so while we're all not comfortable with this, but being able to express your ideas to others, not necessarily in a TED talk, but, in front of your teammates and in front of your classmates. So also along with that, being able to write effective emails, memos, letters, and communicate with your teammates and employers, writing effectively, showcasing those skills. And so some strategies to develop and strengthen areas here would be, ask someone, ask your peers, ask your mentors, how is my writing? Can you look at this? And it's always a really good idea if you're sending an important email to, let's say, an employer or someone that you hope to get a job from or impress, read that email over before you send that, or get someone's opinion on your message. And then if you have an interest in writing, consider joining some organizations that will allow you to get that experience. So, in the Career Center, we're next to the Louisville Cardinal newspaper, and from time to time I see announcements there of where they're looking for people to contribute there. And then when it comes to your oral communications and for interviewing, I would encourage you to potentially schedule a mock interview with your career coach, or we also have an online pre-recorded interview software where you can actually see yourself and practice those interview questions called Interview Stream. And I'll have a link to that later on in the presentation. Next, we have critical thinking and problem solving. So being able to use reasoning to analyze issues, make decisions, and overcome challenges. So being able to obtain, interpret, take in the knowledge and facts, and make decisions. And so some areas to develop this would be obviously to take some research-based classes. You could volunteer to work as a tutor and assist peers or students with their academic work. And then again, this is a really good video. It's very short, under 5 minutes. 5 tips to improve your critical thinking skills. If you will Google this, it's a TED Talk, and you can find more information and helpful areas on how to go through the critical thinking, problem solving, decision making model. Teamwork and collaboration. So this is very important competency, as even if you're working individually, we are always most often a part of a team. And so being able to form collaborative relationships with people from all backgrounds, and then being able to work within that team structure effectively and negotiate and manage conflict that might arise. And so everyone has probably at this point been in a group project, has worked in a team at some point. And so if you haven't, and this is something that you haven't really explored and you might be new to the university, look to join a team. And remember, it doesn't have to be a work team. It could be a club. It could be an intramural sports group or volunteer group, or maybe create your own team and form a study group. I plugged here for everyone Engage Engage is the platform where you can see all of the registered student organizations at U of L, and there's a variety of different things that are going on and places to get involved. And then the next time you're in a group project and there seems to be some, confusion as to what the next steps are or who's responsible for what, look up this responsibility assignment matrix and see if this won't help you to delegate and to make sure that there is clarity within that teamwork structure. And digital technology, which has got us off to a little rough start this afternoon, but that's okay. Being able to leverage existing digital technologies ethically, efficiently to solve problems, complete tasks, and accomplish goals. And so this is one area that I know that we've all been well versed in lately, in learning what tools are out there, how can we utilize them, just like Microsoft Teams. We've had this for a while and didn't know what we could do with it until recently. And so this is an example of being able to adapt and to, use better tools as you go along your journey and figure out other things that might be emerging and how you can integrate those into your work. And so again, this LinkedIn Learning, there are thousands of online courses and training videos that you can access there. I also want to point out U of L has the Center for Digital Transformation. And if you go to this website down here, you'll be able to go to their learning portal where you can complete a variety of different badges and micro credentials from Microsoft, Google, and IBM. And so there's some really good beginner courses there that will help you. So there's one in Microsoft on Office 365 to where we were able to learn about Teams and Stream and other programs and platforms there and how to best use those. And if you have an interest in social media and staying current with that, volunteer to maintain pages for a club or an organization. And then definitely want to encourage everyone to make sure that you have a LinkedIn profile and that you spend some time there updating your presence. And then leadership. So, obviously leadership is being able to leverage the strengths of others to achieve common goals and use interpersonal skills to coach and develop others. So you don't have to be a manager to be a leader. It's being able to work as a team and to see each other's strengths and use those skills to guide, motivate, organize, and delegate work. So, volunteer to lead a small group, whether that's in class or a student group. You might consider applying to be a peer leader. So I know that there are opportunities to be student success ambassadors, where you're able to be in a leadership role with your peers, and then some opportunities for additional development in this area. If you are interested in a certain area, look to see if there are leadership conferences and put yourself out there and attend those. We're coming in on the home stretch here. 7, global intercultural fluency. So, valuing and respecting and learning from different cultures from your own, and being sensitive and inclusive to other people and understanding the differences and how that makes for a very productive and diverse workplace. And so I just encourage people to seek opportunities to connect and interact with a variety of people. So that might be volunteering in the Louisville community or wherever your community is, or on campus with groups. And then also a really good way to broaden this area would be studying abroad. And so I hear many times people regret not doing this. And so it's worth considering and seeing what your options are. And lastly, career management. And so this one is really central to what we do here in the Career Center. And from a personal standpoint and a personal competency, this means being able to understand your skills, your strengths, and how those fit and relate to the position that you want. And so being able to identify the areas that you need towards professional growth. So, understanding where you might need to start and knowing the steps that you'll need to take to get to your ultimate goal. This is being a self-advocate for yourself. And so we have a variety of resources that will help you with getting started. Again, the Career Compass is a great starting point. And then also, if you go to our career resources in our website, we have everything from resumes to interviewing to you name it, we have something there to help with your career exploration and management. And then also, you have already used Handshake to sign up for this event, but look and see, there's a ton of virtual events from other employers and things outside of U of L to get more knowledge about what is out there and what you might be interested in. So that was a quick rundown of what those are and how those are so important to your career and being able to identify your skills. Let's see what questions we might have. Rosie, do we have any questions in the queue?
Yes, thank you, Mallory. That was excellent information, lots of information there to kind of sift through. But we did also have a comment. Student organizations are a great way to build your network and also offer different ways to explore different career paths too. So yes, that was a nice comment there and an observation there. I know you mentioned kind of getting involved and joining student organizations can benefit you in so many different ways, and helping you not only build your career competencies, but also build your network and explore different career paths. And you can obviously build your network by not only meeting other students, but getting out into the community. A lot of times student organizations will focus on, like you mentioned, Mallory, doing some community service work. A lot of times they'll bring in speakers and host different events. So you're getting to meet people, you're getting to explore different occupations. And again, depending on what student organization you're in, it could be directly related to your major, or just in general provide you with some good leadership opportunities and ways to meet people, people in the community, professionals, alumni, and other students as well. So it was just a nice comment to add to that discussion that you were talking about, Mallory. And yes, we do have a question here, a very good question, and it has to do with these competencies that you have talked about. There are several of them, as you mentioned. Is it more important to have some expertise in all of the competencies, or to be very proficient in maybe just one or two? Maybe just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's a great question. And, I think that to answer that, it is important to have a understanding and awareness of all of these, as they are very important to no matter what career you're going into. But it is going to be, I want to point out that you're probably going to be stronger in some areas than others. So, for example, if say you were really good at digital technology and say you're not as strong in professionalism, that's going to be a problem in your journey. So it is important to have and be aware of all of these competencies, knowing that you might be stronger in some areas than others. That gives you an idea too as to what you might need to work on. So where are your strengths? Where are your weaknesses? And so it's important to have a little bit of all of these, but also recognize, again, that you might be stronger in some areas than others.
Yes, excellent. An excellent question. So I believe that's all we have for now in the queue, so we will continue on.
All right. So getting started into the marketing of yourself. Before you can even begin to market yourself to employers, you have to know what you want, and you have to be able to know what you have to offer. So that's in terms of those skills, competencies, and how that connects to that employer and really their bottom line. So in the next few slides, we're going to talk about a few steps that are going to enable you to navigate this preparatory stage of your process. And so the hope is that you'll be able to answer some grand but empowering questions like, what are my real passions? What gets me out of bed in the morning? What do I really want from work? So you need to know these answers and ask this to yourself to be able to narrow your options and understand your choices, and then maybe help prepare you to make your move in marketing yourself to potential employers. And so often, you know, we think, let's just get started applying. You really have to go through some of these steps before you get to that point and can effectively market yourself. So number one, reflection and understanding yourself. The first step, this is the first step. Now, your education teaches you skills and provides you experiences that bring you are ultimately where you are today. And it's a platform to spring forward from. And I like to point out that major does not always equal career. So for some people it does. Nursing, generally you're going to go be a nurse, and sometimes education, most often you're going to go into teaching or higher education, but that's not always the case. Your career path can be plotted from not only your education, but also from your strengths, your innate talents, personal interests, and core values. So maybe you'll use the communication skills you picked up as an English major, your attention to detail, and your love for creativity and design to land a job in event planning or social media and community management, or maybe as a museum curator. The choice is up to you, but you have to know what it is you actually want, what you value, and that could be money or helping others or using your creativity, whatever that is that brings you fulfillment. So, in getting started in this process, make a contract with yourself. Hold yourself accountable. Write down exactly what it is you're trying to accomplish, and then understand that your career search and this whole process is really, it's a full-time job. And so after you've done some self-reflection and you begin to search for opportunities, the next step is to do some research. And so this can take some time as well, but get ready to apply those critical thinking and problem solving skills and dig deep into all the options that you might have. And so the internet has made it easy to reach anyone and learn almost anything about a possible career. So even if you know no one that's a comic book designer, you can follow your favorite artists on their websites, social media platforms, and learn exactly about what their job entails, what their education was, and the career path that they took to get there. So whether you are just starting your professional career or maybe you're making a career shift, the options are truly unlimited, and all it takes is a web browser, a bit of curiosity, and some determination. So a good starting point is to examine the areas of job function. So these are things like sales, operations, accounting, finance, marketing, and then industry. Industries might be healthcare, hospitality, government, and sometimes there's some overlap. So functions and industries might be the same. So you could be an accountant working in an accounting firm, but you could be an accountant working in healthcare. And so this is usually a starting question that we'll ask graduates as they're beginning their search. Where do you want to work? What do you want to do? And I might get a general answer like healthcare. I want to work in healthcare. But it's important to understand that, custodians can work in healthcare. So what function is it that you're targeting? It's not just industry, it's what function are you looking at and how your competencies would point towards those areas. So once you've teased that out, maybe start to look at some dream companies, organizations, and see what jobs might be posted. Follow them on social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, and stay up to date on what they're doing. And then dig a little bit deeper, look up profiles of individuals that you respect and admire to see what roles they have had on their way to success. So this could be a former boss or a colleague, or even someone you know by reputation only. So maybe someone you went to high school with that you always thought of as a creative type, and you're wondering, I wonder what they're doing now. You can look them up to find that maybe they're working in something you've never heard of, like consultative sales. And so you can even follow that trail a little bit further by looking at a feature on LinkedIn called People Also Viewed. So it'll kind of go down a similar line and find options that you might not even known about. And so I also like to point this out. If you're concerned about others seeing that you've viewed their profiles on LinkedIn, one good way to work around this is to sign out, and you can look them up anonymously that way, or you can go into your account in the privacy and settings and search in anonymous mode. And so I like to do that at times to keep my sleuth mode on. And so lastly, refining that, your personal brand. Once you've reflected on what you want, what options that you have, then you can start to make your move and focus on your personal branding. Your personal brand makes a big difference in helping you launch a career and land a job. It gives you that confidence. And so employers are looking for individuals who know who they are and are able to present themselves as attractive employees and colleagues. And so know that if you don't have a clear picture of who you are and what you have to offer, others are going to create that narrative for you. So they're going to write a story of who they think you are with or without your input or consent. So rather leaving that up to chance, be in control of how the world perceives you and create this brand for yourself. And so I think personal branding can seem somewhat of a daunting task. What is your brand? But personal branding is really just about cultivating an image that reflects your true and authentic self in a consistent manner in all of the areas of your career search. So your resume, your cover letter, your LinkedIn, and your handshake profiles, they all point to the same things. They are consistent and congruent with the competencies that you have laid out and how those relate to the positions that you're seeking. That connection is being made. And also, again, in your social media presence. So you could work really hard to create your personal brand and reflect those into your professional profiles, but make sure that your social media is not counteracting what you're putting out there in your other areas. And so know that employers will look you up, and they're going to look at you probably first at LinkedIn to see that extension of your resume, but often they want to see what your presence is like on Facebook or Instagram. And so be conscious of that. That is also a part of your brand, and that is an extension of yourself. So before we get into some of the specific tips, let's check in to see if we might have any questions.
Oh, great. Thanks, Mallory. Yes, wonderful information again. And we do have another question about developing skills. This question is, I would like to develop more leadership skills, but I work to pay for school and don't have a lot of time to join organizations. Do you have any suggestions for me in trying to develop some skills, but I'm also working quite a bit?
Yes, and so I know that is very challenging to be a part of that Metro College program and then also be a full-time student. But I think first and foremost, that is a demonstration of a competence there of your work ethic. So being able to exceed and excel as an employee, as a full-time student, is something to be proud of and something to showcase. So I would put that on my resume that you're a part of that program. But I would also suggest that you might look to volunteer for committees at work. So at UPS, let them know that you're interested in getting new experiences beyond your actual job duties. So whether that be committees or promotional opportunities, communicate that to them. And you can also, in the time that you have available outside of work and school, I know that's probably slim, look to progress your learning with maybe some of those badges and also some things that you can do in the time that fits your schedule.
Yes, excellent, excellent. And I would just maybe add to that, and I don't think you mentioned this, but when you are on group projects at school and things of that nature, that you could try to take more of an active role in that position as well within some of your group projects that you might have to do for your coursework. All of that helps and contributes to developing those skills as well. Okay, I think we're good right now, so we will continue on with our last part here.
Okay, let's go on, and we will look at some specific tips for personal branding. So by reviewing those career competencies and being able to identify those areas, and then also undergoing some of the self-reflection exercises that we discussed earlier, you should have a good understanding of what your personal attributes may be. But if you could use some additional help in this area, I would encourage you to take part in some assessments that might help you to uncover some of your unique strengths and attributes. So I know at U of L, they have opportunities to take the Strengths Finder assessment. And now I don't know exactly how to connect you with that. You might want to reach out to someone to see if you can take that, or if not, it's a relatively inexpensive one, and that will give you an indication of your top 5 strengths. But also, we like to recommend the 16 personalities, which is like the MBTI. And that will tell you more about your personality and how those play with your strengths and weaknesses. And another way that is a good assessment of your brand attributes is to ask some of your trusted peers and mentors some questions like, how would you describe me in 3 words? What traits do you admire most about me? And what makes me different from other people that you've worked with in the past? So I think it's good sometimes to see what others might have to add to the conversation, because there are individuals that sometimes sell themselves a little bit short and might be very critical and hard on themselves. So it is good to reach out to trusted individuals to see what they have to say about your brand. But just reflecting on the experiences that you've had in school and in your involvement and experiences, you should be able to identify some of these strengths and know what your brand attributes are and what you can contribute to the positions that you're looking to target. And so after you've have that in mind, and you have a strong understanding of what makes you your own unique brand, start putting it down in writing, and that's what we would call a branding statement. And so this statement not only includes your attributes, but this combines those to your targeted functions and industries. So I'm going to show you a few examples in the next slide, but you can also include future goals of who you'd like to become, so those aspirations, and also maybe come up with a few words that describe who you'd like to be. Maybe that's an eloquent communicator or whatever that specific long-term goal may be. And so you might be noticing a theme here, but leverage LinkedIn to draw some inspiration from leaders and mentors in those targeted industries. So after you went through and you've looked at how others are branding themselves in the industries, it might draw some inspiration for you to draft your own branding statement. So these are just some examples of personal branding statements, and this is kind of like an elevator pitch. This would go into your About section on LinkedIn, but notice that there is some incorporation of those attributes and how those fit with what they do. So a consensus builder with keen people skills, project management expert who seamlessly works across large organizations to get big things done. And this quickly communicates who you are, what you have to offer, and how that connects with what you do. The next one, energetic personal trainer, specializing in weight training and mobility and helping others to become their healthiest and best selves. And then could be driven and creative leader with a focus in sparking new product ideas and brand transformation. So it's communicating who you are and what you have to offer. And if you do some, web lookup on this topic, you'll find a ton of information and examples to help you with drafting your personal statement. And then next you'll want to ensure that, again, your brand is consistent in all areas. So I can't emphasize this enough. This means making sure that your resume communicates those brand attributes and is reflected on your online profiles as well. So this is also making sure that position titles, company names, dates correspond from your resume to your online profiles. Are all your skills and competencies on your online profiles. So LinkedIn and Handshake has that space for you to include your strengths in these areas. So make sure that those are there and consistent in all areas. And again, keeping in mind your personal social media is demonstrating professionalism and not counteracting the professional image that you have worked so hard to create. So we do see this from time to time, that the resume looks a little bit different than the LinkedIn profile, and that just really hurts your personal brand because it's lacking that consistency, it's lacking that attention to detail and projecting a consistent and authentic image in all areas. So again, just make sure that after you've done this work, that you've communicated that and that you've aligned that in all of your profiles and all of your documents. Now this is another tip. You could create your own website, but also your LinkedIn profile kind of serves as your website as well. But I work with students in the education field, and many of them have created their own personal websites through a site called Weebly. So they're able to create a classroom, information about how they manage their classroom, more samples of their work, and then put that URL on their resume. So, you don't have to be the most savvy technological person to do this. There are many tools that exist. It is just another way to kind of showcase your work. So your resume says this is what you've done and this is the areas of experience that you have, but you can use a website or you can use LinkedIn to connect those links. So maybe you were in the news, you were recognized for an award that you received, or you've created videos or images or work samples. So maybe you created a strategic plan for your graduate program and you got very good remarks on that. You could upload that and share that on either a website or your LinkedIn profile to showcase and actually show in action what you can do. So that is definitely a feature that I would recommend. And it is just another way to help you stand out from other candidates and provide a more interactive piece to your personal brand. And so lastly, activating your brand. This give to receive notion, that is on a feature on network. So you can, on LinkedIn, I'm sorry, where you can receive endorsements for these skills and these attributes that you've listed on your profile. So I say give to receive. If you go in and you give endorsements to others, they're more likely to come back and return that favor. And so what that does is that brings credibility to your skills. So if you can get a supervisor or a trusted peer, mentor to endorse you, that is giving activation and credibility to that brand that you're putting out there. There's also a feature of recommendations. So you can request that someone write one for you, or you can, give a recommendation, and then you're probably more likely to receive one in return. So give to receive and bring some credibility to those brand attributes, and then join LinkedIn groups or other online professional discussion boards to be an active member in your industry and add to that conversation. So many times there are topics that professionals all over the country are meeting online to discuss about. Don't be afraid to put your input in there, because that is aligning you again with that industry, and also it's a way to network and build connections with people that you wouldn't have the opportunity to meet perhaps in your everyday life. And another recommendation is to follow industry influencers or those dream organizations to stay up to date on news and industry trends and other important updates in the world of work. So those are some overall tips to beginning to brand yourself and to be consistent with the strengths and the skills that you have to offer, and staying connected to the industry it is that you are wanting to work in. And so that is the last bit I want to share on personal branding. I have a few resources at the end for final thoughts. What last questions do we have, Rosie?
Well, I think that was all very good, Mallory. I think I'm not seeing any other active questions. I know we had one come through, but you kind of addressed that already. It was on networking and LinkedIn, but you've addressed that. And so I believe that is all the questions that I see in the Q&A panel. Wonderful information, wonderful, wonderful. And so I'll let you share your resources, and then I'll talk about our next upcoming virtual workshop that we have lined up next week, so as we continue our series.
Excellent. So just some final thoughts. That was a lot of material to go over, but just wanted to share some information with you on those topics. But we want to point out that these services are still available to you. Appointments are scheduled through Handshake. Also check out job postings. As we mentioned, there are still opportunities that employers are sharing with us, and those are added daily in Handshake. Rosie's going to talk about our upcoming workshops, but I want to plug in our resources on how to write a resume. We have a resume guide, we have some samples, and then also some tips on how to showcase things like, how do I showcase my leadership experience in my Greek life, or I've studied abroad, how do I put that on my resume? We have that in that section, as well as a document drop program where you can submit your resume online for review. And again, the interview stream that we talked about earlier, this is a great way for you to test out your oral communication skills and help you practice for your next video interview. You can create an account there using your Ulink email address. And also, if you're not really sure exactly what you want to do, a great career exploration tool is Candid Career, and you can view a variety of short videos with employers and professionals in the field with advice on various topics, as well as what can I do with this major. And then we have a short self-assessment there called Focus 2 to help you identify your interests, values, personality, and skills. And then again, that Cardinal Career Compass is under student resources. So I just wanted to point out some of the great things that we have online, and I'll let Rosie talk about our upcoming workshops for the month of May.
Wonderful. Thank you again, Mallory. That was excellent information, and I hope all of you enjoyed today's presentation. We do have some additional upcoming virtual workshops in our queue. So next week, we will be having one on Thursday, May 14th. This is going to be on virtual interviewing and virtual meetings. So learning a little bit more about those different platforms, but then just kind of the policies, etiquette again on just dealing with doing so much more these days virtually. So virtual interviews and virtual meetings. And then on the 20th, we have more another workshop that's going to be focused a little more on the job search in this COVID-19 economy that we are in now. So the Savvy Job Searcher on May the 20th, and that will be presented by our director at the University Career Center, Bill Fletcher. And then the last one for May will be on May the 28th, and it's all about Handshake 101, which is our platform that we use in the University Career Center that will help you connect with jobs and employers and search for job opportunities and creating your Handshake profile. So again, we want to thank Mallory for all of her effort and all of her information presented today. And thank you all for joining us as well. And again, this has been recorded and will be on our website soon, and as well as some previous virtual workshops that we have done. They are all now on our website to view. And hopefully we will see some of you back again next week. So thank you again, and I believe that was all that we had. So thank you for attending, and have a safe rest of your day.